Woohoo! Everybody, how's it going? How is it? Boom. Hide everything. Hi, Martin. How are you doing? In person this time. I know you're doing good because you just typed that. Hold on, I have like a gazillion emojis for no reason. Wait, no, I just want to type. Okay, got it. That 2 by emoji costed me like 3 pages of emojis just to navigate through. So nobody's here. I mean, I'm here. Ethan is here, but Ethan is easy because he's automated. And Martin's here. But as usual, we're recording this and we are going to just have a good time. This is just 6:13 p.m. Oh, Mike is also here. Hi, Mike. You should. I remember you had to run errands, but these got, and Marco as well. Hello, Marco. How are you doing? Marco's enjoying his kind of holiday time. Not really, but he's been breaking his back off while we were having fun on our holidays. So, what are you doing here? Should be skiing, snowboarding. I mean, no. I mean, 6:14. You don't want to do it yet. Maybe like 5 p.m. in March. That's something you can still do end of March, April. But now, I don't know. It's probably a little bit. Listening while errands. Hey, Mike. All right. So we got Martin, we got Mike, we got Marco, we got Alberto, we got Ethan, we got Alberto, we got Mike, we got Martin, we got Mike, we got Martin and Marco as well. That's a lot of people today. And it's only 6:14. So thank you all for coming. I really appreciate that I'm not talking to myself. Sometimes I have a day off. Yeah, of course. I mean, all those bombardinos can be a little bit too much. Sometimes you need a little bit of a break. All right, so thank you for being here. Thank you for being here because I love to do these daily meetups, and I'm glad that you could make it so that I will not pretend that I know I'm recording this. So I know that this is also going to the Patreon and that we're talking about it. But this time, I just have this is going to be public. This is a public stream. So the door's open. You know, the bars here, we're all in here, but anyone could step in at any moment. Actually, I could even put subscribers only chat, which I might do. I don't even know how one can do that. Community moderation? Risky stuff. I don't want to do that. All right. I don't want to do that. Why would I? But I thought I could like this, but I can't. All right. Well, I cannot do it. So thank you everybody for being here and for making it for these Patreon weekly meetup. I decided to do it every week if I can, just to update you on what is going on around these Patreon of mine, but also to talk about stuff. You know, I have podcast episodes on the Patreon. I have videos, of course. That's how we started. But I think this is kind of nice that we just sit down, enjoy, take some time off from everything else we're doing, hopefully not important stuff. And it's on a Wednesday usually, so it's like, you know, you're not really giving away your Fridays, you know, your dates, your important stuff, you know, your whatever, you know, meetings and family time. It's a Wednesday. Nothing can go really wrong on a Wednesday, right? We can talk about stuff. So that's the deal. This is what a meetup is. We do it every week. If I have news about the Patreon and what I'm doing, I'll let you know. And if we have a topic, if there's something that's really itching that we should talk about, I like to do it like this because I think it's just, I don't know, it's just better. It's like an enhanced podcast episode. Although I really like to do podcasts because it's just, you know, audio. You can listen to it, you know, when you're driving, when you're in the subway, but you can do it for these stuff as well, because it's a video. You just put it on audio only, or don't take a look at what's going on your phone, and you can still listen to me. So that's fine. And these could be translated to a podcast episode as well. So it's a win-win situation. So what has been going on in the past week or so? Novation Base Station 2, the course, is out on Groove 3. Novation is about to advertise it. That's the gesture. So they've been cutting all sorts of snippets of me playing. This is going to be really good. I cannot thank Novation enough for really joining forces with Groove 3 and putting my course so much out there. They loved what I've done. They think it gives justice to the Base Station 2, which is one of the most amazing little synthesizers ever made. And it's one of the few things that the version 2 is better than version 1, I think, a lot better. They introduced so many more features that the shortcuts for them don't even apply to the typeface, to what they've used on the labels, because there's so many new shortcuts for added features that they really crammed in there that are just worthy of buying, like paraphonic mode alone, retriggering for the envelopes, AFX mode, it's like free gifts, So this masterclass covers everything. I know there's some public stuff here, right, on YouTube, but I am going well beyond what I have on YouTube in this masterclass. It's tons of episodes. Then on top of it, there's the Korg Modwave Mark II that you have access to that will follow next, and there will be a Korg Wave State version as well. I actually have it here. It's like right behind me. Maybe you can see that, right next to the below Poly 6 and P12 right here. No, I'm covering that, so you can't see it. Awesome. So the Modwave Mark II, unbelievable synth. The Korg Wave State, unbelievable synth. So people are like, what? Like, are they the same? They're not the same. I've recorded effectively over 5 hours of masterclass because, I like to talk, I like to discuss stuff. But the Modwave Mark II is such a deep synthesizer that I could have not done it. There's nothing I repeat in that masterclass. It's just 5 hours and I think 34 minutes or something, because the chapters need us to go there for all it can do. It is insane. And if you love wavetables, it's just unbelievable. The wave state, however, is a completely different thing, even if it's kind of similar in the way its block diagram works, but it's completely different. So it's nice. So Martin says, I haven't seen it because I want to keep my wallet closed. I know where you reviewed it and you liked it. I'm not sure I'm on the same boat. I am sure I'm on the same boat. To be completely honest with you, there's something very good about these latest times that we'll live in. And this personal opinion, of course. Personal opinion. So I remember when I was 19, 16, 17, something around those lines. And I would be at music fairs, trade fairs in Italy at the time. And I would look at new products. I was expecting professional grade stuff. And all I could see was junk everywhere. There were good things, but I was like, why are companies investing so much in, low-level stuff? And those were the years. We're like, oh, super fancy analog synthesizers. Nah, we're not going to make a new analog synthesizers. We've done digital, we've done hybrid, we've done wavetables, we've done whatever, semi-modular, all those things. Now we're going to do plenty digital. Here it is, $200 go. And it really was bad. And I was like, I want to see new flagships from the main manufacturers. Now, the prices were kind of lower on the new products at the time, but the products were also very bad, in my opinion. In these years, I gotta say, to be honest, that there's a lot of good products that are really inexpensive. Now, I know money does not grow on trees. It doesn't. I don't know what kind of trees you have, but even the best trees, they don't grow money yet. Maybe genetically engineered trees will one day, I'm sure, but not today, not ours, not mine, for sure, not mine. So it's not about having a green thumb, it's just it doesn't happen, right? So even 3, 4, $600, which in analog vintage synthesizers land is like what, or like proper guitars, proper musical instruments. And let's not just even talk about acoustic pianos, okay? Or even, renovated, fully operational B3s, A100, Hammond organs, that kind of stuff. Clavinets, Rhodes, even a Worley or bass Worley, when it's like right, it's expensive, right? However, these new things like Novation has, what Korg has, I gotta be honest, like all the people that am endorsed by, Sequential, they're synthesizers that are unbelievable. And for when you read the price, you're like, dude, come on. This is, not even, is this possible? And my first impression was like, wow, this is, if you just see the price tag, you go like, can't be good. Just because you're used to thousands, right? For Moogs, for the Prophets, for the vintage Polysix, the Junos. But it's not true. Like what the Mod Wave and the Wave State, just to name two products, or the base station can do. Wow. I mean, I know the monologue and other stuff has been a staple in a lot of people I actually worked with. There's a couple younger than I am producers that have been building stuff in Ableton Live with a Korg monologue, an XD, I think. What, like, unbelievable. They use it as a master keyboard. Sometimes they just, make sounds and go. Those things are the ticket. They sound fine. They have good attitude. They know what to do. They do it. They sound fine. But the palette now is really huge. Like products, good products, they don't really have to cost that much. Companies are trying to really, really push it so that people with limited budgets can get good stuff. And I think there's competition, and I think this is a good thing. My personal opinion. Which brings us to speakers, okay? Actually, do I have water? I do have water. So, are you also open to try out a Behringer? No. That's, well, I don't know, I've tried some stuff and I didn't quite like it, I'm talking about, this could be a good barn though. I'm talking about the real brands, not the ones that brands the brands, I'm gonna drink to give emphasis to this. It's not about the feeling cheap. Martin says, like, why didn't you like it? I've tried the ARP and I've tried what have I tried in fairs? What is it called? Like the Moogie kind of thing. I don't really remember the names Behringer made. But, I mean, they're super accessible and stuff, but it wasn't really sounding. It was kind of a little bit all over the place. Maybe it's user error. It's still an ARP designed kind of synth, so it's a lot deeper. I know James had one. I don't know if he sold his ARP, and I remember he was kind of fighting with how it just was kind of on the loose side of parameters, which is in part, again, you could say, well, the original kind of has it. Well, but there's a method to the madness, So it's not quite about the outside, but I have to be honest with you, I'm kind of tolerant towards, keys, for example. Although I gotta be honest with you, again, the base station and the Korgs, they have keybeds that are perfectly fine. I don't need piano keyboards to route my fingers on playing actually a synth patch. If I play a synth patch on weighted keys, to me it kind of feels weird. It feels like I'm playing in a band or something and I have a stage piano with synth keys. I can do it, but it's not what I would expect. Or like if I play a Moog and it has weighted keys, it's kind of weird. But I'm pretty open to, how the new synths are. I don't need it to have wood and all expensive things. It was more about the guts of it that didn't quite cut it. For example, I wasn't quite happy with the first Odyssey that the Korg did, the first time. Also because of the form factor, I liked it better when it came out with a full keyboard. You probably remember Korg took ARP's patent to do the Odyssey, and it redid it. But it didn't have a full-size keypad at first. That one kind of bothered me, and I don't remember. I don't remember if this was before release of the actual release version of the OS or something. I didn't quite like it initially. I don't know what Korg did in terms of, maybe my ears changed. I don't think so though. This is stuff that can really, kind of reshape itself if you kind of recode the firmware or stuff, or just even adjust the slops of the keys, the detuning, and things like that. So there's plenty of synths I am not too fond of, or that given the amount of money you pay for, I'm like, no. I mean, if a Korg mod wave, granted, they're different things. It's like $600, I mean, come on, what can we say? And I could move these two speakers, because it's part of the news that we were discussing. How, so I just told you about the synths, right? So we got the Base Station 2. I am going to do the Novation Peak soon in Novation Land. And in Korg's Land, I'm going to do the Wave State, So the Behringer Neve compressor seems to be quite impressive compared to the real deal. That one I haven't tried so far, But then again, it reinforces what I've said. Mike says, I've owned tons of Behringers on top of being unethical, which is kind of something I am not really fond of, to be honest. I can wrap my head around a lot of new stuff, but Behringer reminds me of people that kind of did some things to me when I was a lot younger behind my back. I know it's not Uli's fault. I know it's a completely different timeline, but I cannot help it connecting these kind of behavior to bad things that happened, that copied what I was doing, pretended the solos I had played belonged to somebody else. I've gone through a lot of stuff, people. I can talk about it. I cannot name names. I don't want to name names, but I have to be honest. He kind of reminds me of that vibe, and I sort of hate it, to be honest with you. So once you get your hands on a Moog or Sequential, you understand what's wrong with them. Granted, even the least expensive Sequential synth is not as inexpensive as a Behringer, but dude, you're buying a musical instrument. Get yourself a proper musical instrument. Save some money, just get on it, try stuff out. The real stuff is the real stuff, And you might say, well, what about Korg mod waves then? Because the Base Station is really one of Novation's signature things. Well, if you go back to what Korg has done with wave tables, like Wave Station and all that stuff, the morphing, you'll see that these things, the mod wave, the wave state, are a huge part of Korg's heritage. A huge one. So they're not reinventing, they're not taking somebody else's. They really are staying true to their heritage. Because yes, Korg does have a ton of wavetable heritage that comes on the chaos, physics integrated with that, the motion sequencing. They just didn't do the Poly6, I have one, the Monopoly, all the other stuff, M1, whatever. They have tons of products, but they also do have a lot of these kind of heritages here. So this is really people continuing on their lineage rather than, all right, I'm going to just completely T-bone somebody's synthesizer. Dude, do something else. And I keep connecting Behringer with people that did some things to me that were absolutely not cool. Absolutely not cool at a musician-composer level. And it just clicks in me, and I'm like, I'm not getting it. I don't care. It's just vibes. It's me. It's personal opinions for sure. So that alone is a no-go. It's true, Mike, that there's attacks to their critics publicly. That's really low, sucker punching for no reason. And Martin, you still have your FP50. It's pretty super awesome keyboard and has impressive synth sounds. It's a great also stage piano. You could go gig with it. You can use it for playing piano. You can layer stuff. You can do all there. And the R3 was amazing to play with. I mean, I have fond memories of Korg. I already talked about that. I remember playing Korg synthesizers as I was probably like 13, 14, something like that. I had my dad next to me at a music store and near Firenze in Toscana, and I'm playing it. My dad is like next to me, and I'm like, playing it, and I turn to him and I go like, there's no normal sounds in this stuff. This was amazing. Like, Korg, what's wrong with you? Where's a grand piano to play? Like very young Alberto's like used to, doing classical exercises and wanted to sing like, what's the piano like in this keyboard? Imagine me saying like, what's the acoustic grand like on these? And I'm like, Korg, it's probably a Trinity rack, a TR, or the Triton. I don't think it was out yet. So it was probably a Trinity like a TR rack, right? And good luck, try. There's tons of amazing sounds. But you go like, I know all these sounds. They're from the Amiga era and stuff. And where's the grand piano? You expect it to be 001. Nope. It doesn't happen. I then bought a Trinity V3 without the Moss expansion, but a V3 in LA. I found it for like extremely cheap, and I sold it to a friend in Valencia in Spain. I really regret that. I should have not sold the Trinity, the V3, which number one, they go for crazy prices right now. Number two, if you've tried it, the Trinity has kind of a different DA. It's like an Akai version of a sampler. It's sharper, it's nastier, it's cooler even to play live than a Triton for some stuff. Then the Triton has tons more features, obviously, this and that, right? So what about that? So speakers, okay? A lot of you, I gotta go with the news. A lot of you are going through. You remember I talked about these. Are going through. I know Mike is. You're going through these headphones or speakers phase or new monitoring phase, and it's just. I mean, Mike is one of them. He's in here, I think. And I know Marco bought some new headphones. Martin says, like, you had the Triton really delivered, although the grand pianos weren't the best. Well, the grand pianos weren't the best, but they had a vibe if you played in a band. They weren't realistic, but they had a tone, right? It's like the Kurzweil piano. You hear it, you go like, that's it, That's Metropolis Part 2, right? Scenes from a Memory. That's it, You can play that, and people will go like, oh, it's Dream Theater. Because it's that piano, which I absolutely love, by the way. I've played for so long. And I also love the Tritons. That's Jarek Serenian's kind of sound in Change of Seasons and all that stuff, right? Feels like being young again. Yeah. So, I mean, we used to like play cover, study all that stuff, and I had all the geek nerd friends and stuff. I've done everything, been there, done that. Anyway, so a lot of you have new headphones or new speakers or speakers for the first time in your lives, and your neighbors are really happy about that. And the police department that's gonna visit in a week or so is also gonna be extremely excited to see your new near-field monitors. But what is happening is that we have these moment in time, I think. I don't know what you think. Maybe not. I know Martin hasn't changed his monitors, for example. I mean, maybe you did. I don't know. But I don't think you did. But there's a lot of people that I know, and I have a piano student of mine as well from Italy, and he's getting new monitors as well. And he's kind of pushing himself to be more on the loudspeaker side than headphones. Okay? Headphones are convenient. Headphones are something we love, blah, 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 so on and so forth. But there's a lot of you who are, I read these, going back or exploring the loudspeaker situation. Okay, and Martin says I have the VSX headphones and the Moto M2 combined with the MTM speakers. Right, I remember now. You have MTMs, so you have your system as well. Right? You have headphones, you have speakers. A lot of people I know are actually in a moment in which they're evaluating loudspeakers again, and I'm saying again because Mike has been on headphones for pretty much all of his life, except for some M audios, which I actually had in LA as well, the BX5s, the tiny ones, and just to study piano and keyboards. And other people I know professionally are looking for near fields or mid fields for their rooms. Okay, I told you some time ago that some studios, some audio rooms that were belonging, that were being used for video game making, have been decommissioned in Milano for companies, video game companies that are very big. They put it on to more of a financial business role. There's human resources, that stuff. They're no longer being used in those studios for audio. So a lot of the people I knew that were here gravitating towards Munich or Milano started working on their music at home. And this is something that started at about 2023 and got completed at the end of last year. Okay, then we have tons of new rooms or studios that kind of reopened themselves, decentralized a lot of the work. Ubisoft did that. Ubisoft has Genelex all over the place for their immersive audio, tons of studios and tons of things. Then there's a lot of engineers that I know that have been making video game soundtracks whose demographics target, if you know, is mostly headphones, right? You want to have your headset, you play with your friends, you want to talk, use headphones, you don't want to bother your family, siblings, whatever. However, most of the professional music and soundtracks that are made for video games, which is again an audience that is going to use headphones, believe it or not, are made on speakers. You know, part of that is that the studios have speakers. The engineers are old; they know speakers better maybe than just leaving off headphones. So it's not just headphones are worse. It's just there's trends and there's habits, right? However, the situation is kind of looking to me as if it's going back to having more speakers. So I have colleagues who have been mixing at home, with whom I've had a lot of files that went and gone, and they are looking to have a kind of a monitoring system that we all kind of share. Okay, we work pretty much for the same sourcing, whether it's Netflix oriented or it's Amazon Studios and that stuff. We try and pitch music for everything, commercials, shorts and stuff. And we want to build some sort of unified system, but the problem is we don't want to have it overly expensive. So right now, I am the one with the best room. When they were in Milano and they were working and they had stuff they were doing for Ubisoft as well, they had rooms that they had been working in. And when I joined them, those two were actually the reference rooms in which they already had stuff that they were mixing. So what we did is I was making stuff and sending it to them, and they had their room. When they decommissioned those rooms and turned them into offices, basically, or like private rooms or whatever, SFX, stuff for video, VFX and things, then they basically went home and built they already had them. They started using their homes, like some rooms at home, mainly for making music and producing them. So now, fast forward to end of 2024, we started talking and saying like, okay, we should really, part because it's better for them, it's more fun. We were talking about like, okay, how do we kind of build a system with loudspeakers and things? And they were like, if we do this project, we're embarking on a couple new projects. They said, would you be able, Alberto, if we send you the stuff, to be the one room that kind of gives everything a common touch, okay? This is very important when you work with people from all over the world, or maybe scattered around an area, but you have different rooms. How do you do it? Well, you have to have some sort of unified system. People that work in video games, they love to have the facts down and saying, we're reducing, they're mostly very technical engineers, and they were kind of, well, there's artists, of course, but they want to know that there's a unified system. How do you do it? Because if you don't have a room we all meet in and we do a mix together, which is never going to happen, there's no budgets for it, everybody's room's gonna sound different. So what matters is that you decide who's gonna take the whole corpus of the thing and say, okay, he did it in Sweden, he did it in Milano, he did it in near Munich. This one sounds bright, this one sounds dark, this one sounds MIDI, this one doesn't have enough bass, this one's too loud, this one's too quiet, this one's too dynamic. How do you do it? Well, first you gotta decide one guy, one room. He's the one who's gonna do it. Can be the best guy you have, can be the one that has the most time available. You gotta do it that way. So we're looking at the fact that I will do it. Will I have time to do it? I don't know. But this is probably like second half of the year, right? If we pull these off. So we're looking at, options. And I kind of had the idea of saying, well, okay, my situation here in terms of monitoring, right? I have a pair of ProAx SM100 that I pretty much, since I've moved here in this new room, never use. Because they're near fields, and I don't use near fields in here. The room is really big. I kind of like to use bigger speakers. And my bigger speakers are the B&Ws, the 802Ns, right? So these 802Ns, I love them. I've been using them for a long time. I've mastered stuff on it. I've mixed stuff on it. Usually before it was more of a final check thing. Now I've been using them pretty much all the time. I'm really happy. I love how they sound. But I will probably not feel very comfortable to have this system as a mean to say, this is where your stuff is ending too. And by all means, I love those speakers, okay? These are from 1984, 1986, I think, something like that. And they sound absolutely phenomenal. It's just a style of sound stage, of bubble, of audio that I love. But it's not giving me the safety of saying we have a picture that is looking kind of standardized to what the studios have, right? What does this mean? That if I were to be extremely famous, or a celebrity of sorts, we could say, to heck with that, this is how I do it, this is how I like it, this is how it's getting done. But I am getting references from my team to say, like, look, for this project, this would be something we would be looking at. This is something we've done 3 years ago. It didn't work. We have stuff that we're redoing. How about we give it this sound? Okay. So everything I'm listening for and from and to is made in studios. It's very modern. It's very commercial. It's very modern stuff. And to have a sort of a hi-fi floor standard system doesn't give me the safety of saying, this is all I need. Okay. So for this reason, I've been looking at different solutions, and luckily I'm a good friend with Adam Audio, and I say, or Adam, whatever you want to call it. How are we going to call them? Or you say Adam, number one, or you say Adam? I know people that say Adam, because otherwise I would have not said it. I'm going to throw these questions. You say Adam, or you say Adam? I guarantee you there's Adam as well. You say one. You say, Martin said, I say Adam. You have to say one or two. One is Adam and two is Adam. You say Adam. I think we all say Adam. So, but there's people out there that say Adam. And it's like, they don't kind of connect it to the name or whatever. I don't even know the acronym of it. I've never known it. For whatever reason, we got to investigate. So, I'm good friend with Adam Audio, and I asked them, we talked about it, and I said, look, I have an idea. We are going to do, this is a great moment. I explained everything I just told you. And I said, my colleagues and friends need speakers, and I need speakers. So how about we do these, and we document everything that we're doing, okay? We're going to document the arrival of the speakers, the installation, the features, very easily as if you were here. We're going to do events in the pattern that you can watch afterwards. Obviously, they don't need to be live, in which we say, okay, that's the speaker, that's what it does, that's the specifications. So what I am looking for is to have two systems of speakers, two pairs to add on what I have. I want to have a main system, something that is really big and really powerful. So I'm looking at probably the Polito configuration, so it's like two drivers, tweeters, so three ways, something like that, and also a normal near field system. We were talking about prices before, right? Like cost effective implementation of things. Now, there's many companies out there, and this is not just valid for Atom Audio, but if you look at how much a pair of speakers costs today, you're gonna be like, what? There's always the 10, 15, 20, 40. There's tons of those, that are super expensive. However, there's like, if you look at what Atom Audio has in the A range, which is they have a T, they have an A, and they have an S. Okay, these are the three categories in which Atom Audio has their stuff. So sort of like the entry level, more kind of versatile kind of thing is the T series, Tango series. Then there's the A as in Alpha, which is not the intermediate because we're already into the good stuff. But then there's the S, Sierra kind of thing, which is the high end, okay? And these are all, if you look at the A7s, which are like a de facto standard in two-way near field, they're completely inexpensive. You look at the price for a pair and you go like, why have I lived in the previous era of things where it's like hundreds of thousands dropped over the course of years to build a complete system of a studio, and now you can do it for peanuts? Well, the answer could be, well, but it sounds like crap today, and the good stuff was made before. Well, I guarantee you that's not the case. That was the case probably up until a lot of company trends into the 2010, okay, at most, okay? Then it started bending, and people were like, whoa, no, we gotta make it good because the people know. And you know why they know? Social media. You know why they know? Influencers. It's really risky to have something that is not expensive but sounds like crap be thrown out in the wild of YouTube and have somebody with a pedigree, don't mind me, take somebody who's really high there in the ranks, say, this sounds bad. You're done. You're not just done for that product, you're done for the entire line. Because people don't have time to say, well, these products might be bad, but the other one's good. They go like, all right, RIP, go. We change brand, This has happened a lot to a lot of speaker companies, especially because we're just outputting stuff. And today we have a lot of brands. I mean, I could name many. There's Atom, there's PMC, there's Focal, there's also, I mean, even there's Eve Audio for sure, which is also Berlin based, and I've listened to it. I've worked with some of their speakers. They're unbelievable for what they offer. It's like, well, how can you do that? It's like but technology isn't really. It has advanced, but it's more about they're really putting time down. This is my personal opinion again. I don't believe that there's really a technological advancement that has made it possible for things to be inexpensive and good. I don't believe that. I believe that they're actually spending time now to do R&D because they know people will say bad stuff, they won't sell, nobody makes you do any kind of money out of products you've spent time on. So, this is kind of it's unbelievable. I'm saying good stuff about social media and the internet culture. Can you believe that? It's actually not the influencers. It's those few trustworthy people that say, I didn't really gel with that. Boom, you're done. So there's tons of competition, tons of good products, and they're not expensive. So what I would like, you're not on the same boat. Yeah. So what I would like to do is this. I would like, same deal on social media. I think we agree on what. I think everybody here pretty much agrees with one another. But I cannot believe that there's in everything there's bad and good, right? So sadly and luckily, also in these there's some truth. You can't really do advertisement out of flyers and PDFs or booklets as you would do in the end of the 80s, but also development wasn't there, right? People were doing stuff. The ones who were doing stuff were good. The other ones would not develop stuff. Then there's been a rush to make home prosumer stuff. And now we've filtered out a lot of the bad stuff, of the junk, and there's a lot of good products. Be it synthesizers, be it MIDI keyboards, be it even audio hardware, audio cards, that stuff. And also for speakers. So I think the time is right, and Atom Audio has agreed with me to do it. So we're trying to find these two pairs, because what I want to do is I want to follow up, not just on the installation, not just on the sound, on things and talking about it. I want to do a follow-up on the Calibrate Your Studio Monitors Masterclass. You remember, I have it, some of you watched it. I don't know if you in here watched it. I know Mike has many times. Has like nausea out of it. Because it's like, oh God, I cannot. He dreams of that video series in which I talk about studio monitors. You place them in your room. You've done all you can in terms of acoustic work. And then you say, okay, it sounds good. It sounds what it sounds like. But how do I know it's sounding the best for my room? And in that masterclass, we take REW, we take rephase, and we go through the methods I've learned to do it, which do not use EQ curves from the get-go. They use IRs, and then we drive it into linear phase or not. We kind of reassess the phase relationship of the various IRs that we've done, so on and so forth. I want to do a follow-up on studio speakers, okay? Because what I would like to build is a more comprehensive, updated 2025 version of saying, okay, in the first episode, in the first season, we understood what it takes to do the measurements, to do these stuff, so on and so forth. Now, I want to really take it to the near field monitors versus the big guys, the mains, okay? So sort of like the professional final studio in which you're going to do stuff, you're going to finalize it, versus your home production system. These two scenarios, these two environments are never gonna cease to exist. They're gonna live on forever. The professional final place, whether it's a mastering studio, whether it's a video game company studio, the place that is official, okay, that's never gonna go away. And the other one is your place, our place, the rooms in which you make the music. And I'm going to tell you right off the bat, if you believe that one of the two is inferior to the other, you, my friend, are wrong. Because without this, I know you're thinking that the one with the near fields is inferior. Well, I'm telling you this. Without the place where people make the actual music, the professional studio is doing what? Recording? Oh, really? We're going to talk about that in a bit. Really? Oh, so people, you're telling me, go to recording studios to record their music because there is no other way to do music production in the world right now in 2025? Well, I don't know where you live. I know you don't think that, So you will never be able, unless you, even if you're a super professional, you'll never be able to create in a professional studio of some company the same way you do it in your production rooms. At home, maybe, or in the place where you want to make your music, because of the vibe, man. It's so different. It vibes completely different. You can't come to a professional studio and say, well, I'm going to just sit here paying $275 an hour and just, let's see, maybe I got an idea. No pressure. Maybe, I don't know. I'll try and play something. And you just noodle on your synthesizers, or maybe on somebody else's synthesizers. And you go like, well, I'll stay here a couple hours. That is what? $525, and see what happens. If I vibe with it, that's never going to happen. You're going to have your butt cheeks so tight once you get into a professional studio that no musical idea will ever drop out of your mouth. Trust me. I know you know that, right? If you're coming to a studio because you have a session, that's a different story. Now there's somebody hiring you. Now there's different things happening. Now you know what you're gonna play. That's our job mostly. That's not really being inspired to create. Sometimes you have to, but that's not always the case. So what I wanna create is a new masterclass in which I create a dialogue between the main speakers, the big guys, and the near fields. Because again, I guarantee you that most of the mixing, most of the creation of the music, but again, most of the mixing as well by professionals is done on near fields today. And if you take Japan and you consider what the average loudspeaker size is in Japan, you'll find that a 6.5 driver or even a 7-inch is too big. There's no room in average Japan to run production rooms or creative rooms with 7-inch speakers. They're too big, you know? So 5 is kind of the optimal, for example, you know, and 3 is small. Today, when we do 3 in Europe, it's like, oh, that's a really tiny speaker, you know. In the US, it's gotta be, I don't know, maybe an 8-inch, whatever, I don't know. Oh, well, there's a lot of near fields as well, but it's generally 6 to 7 inches. That's like, all right, that's a speaker, right? That's a normal size. Below that is small, above that is big. But that's not true. It depends on cultural and, you know, just social standards. The average living real estate quarters size in Japan makes it so that a 5-inch is kind of the right size. It's pretty much what it is. So for companies to say, well, you want a studio? Put these huge mains in your, it's like, I have no room for it. Nobody's going to buy them. So I want to create a dialogue, and I want to create correction curves. I want to create analysis things that show you that the dialogue between a near field pair and mains is absolutely 100% possible. So I want to cover up on that, and I want to do it. And this is pretty much the big piece of news. As I told you, there's students, there's you in Patreon, and there's colleagues of mine that are all colliding positively into, we need speakers. We want speakers. I don't want to say we just need speakers. It's that people say, I want to feel good. Headphones, okay, I'm having fun with headphones, but I want to have speakers kind of fun. I want air that is moving, okay? So I'm taking this chance, and this will be big because I'm thinking it will generate a lot of content, and it will go where a lot of people haven't gone so far, because I've seen what is available on YouTube and around. I don't really think it's been really covered, this topic. There's a lot of reviews. There's people sitting in beautiful control rooms and they say, oh yes, I love these speakers. You know, there's such testimonials. These are not educational. These are not building stuff. So we're going to do it, and I want to build it from having mains from Adam, and then I want to have near fields from Adam, and I want to show you that there's a lineage. In Munich, a couple weeks ago, maybe even less, I've listened to the A77s. Look them up. These are these guys here. See, products, these 77H. And these speakers are horizontal bass, front ported, 3 ways. And man, this, I was like, all right, what is this? Like barber shop kind of thing. I was kind of getting my hair, in like kind of, molded and blended. I was like, this is good, and I've listened to music of mine which sounded really good, which kind of made me happy as well. So that's probably how I got sold on it. No, but what these speakers have is that they have, first off, Adam, let me see what Mark says. I tested Adam, but found them a bit too much hyped in the mids and highs. Well, Adams are brutal. Meaning, we're talking, I told you about hi-fi systems, right? Like the Bowers, the 802s N, to me, are brutal as well. In the hi-fi scenario, you're not expecting them to be, but they're euphonic up to a certain range, and then they kind of highlight stuff that's like, oh crap, it sounds bad, gotta fix it. Now, Adam were in studio monitors 100%. This is a company that still believes that you're getting their speakers because you want like other companies, absolute certainty that you have a responsiveness, that you have a spectrum, that you have stuff that communicates to you how things work. So they are hard speakers, meaning that these things are giving you a scenario to mix. They're not flattering. They're very precise as well. They're among the, I wouldn't say they're cold speakers, but they're studio monitors. In the last years, and you prefer the sound of Focal Alpha. I've been pretty for the alphas as well, maybe not. I was chief beta tester at Focal for everything they've done from the alpha series to the shapes, to the trios, to the 11s. So they were called SM10s at the time, then they changed the name. And I've had all of those speakers. So if you're talking to me about Focals, I know that. I've had twins, I had trios, I had shapes of all sorts, minus the small ones that I didn't keep, but I had the Dapolito configs. I know Focal very well. What Focal has is it's a very musical, euphonic auto-tune. They work really well. And again, they prove what I've said. Look at the price of the shapes, which I would say, or the solos. Are they expensive? They're not expensive, And are they good? Boy, are they good. They are good. They work pretty well. You can. It's pretty much where it's at. A lot. I think James still has, and he's super happy. I suggested them to him. The Focals, the 65s. The shapes with the passive radiators and side. So there's plenty of solutions. There's plenty of systems that work. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do it with Atom. That's also a brand I like, and we're also gonna do it within their catalog. So obviously you can take Focal Alpha 65s, take the S5Hs by Atom, and say like, I want to build a dialogue between these, But obviously within the same brand, I don't even have to explain to you, it's really, really easy. Now the thing about the Atoms, for example, the A series, is that they have a built-in correction system that is coupled with SonarWorks Sound ID, with whom I'm also super good friend with. They're an amazingly friendly company. I don't know if you've ever had to talk with the people at Sound ID. They're fast in replying. They're really kind, really good. And I've used Sound ID for headphones for a long time. With the same people I've talked until now, these people gave us a system that allowed us to use barrier dynamic headphones, and knowing that we were compensating them in Sound ID. And that's how I've worked with them in 2020, 2021, probably 2 solid years. Okay. And Mike used to beta for SonarWorks, great people. I mean, we have confirmation in chat. So Sound ID, I still prefer, and they know it, I still prefer my way of doing calibration for studio monitors. That's the one I teach in the masterclass that I've learned from people who've done tons of acoustic work, and that's how I do it. For headphones, I've still used Sound ID. When I work with these people, I have it installed, it works. But the Atom A series has DSP that couples with SonarWorks Sound ID. So what they do is that you can load the profile in the speakers, and this is completely system-wide because the speaker has it, not your computer. So that's an advantage. On top of these, they have, as you can see here, they have the A control that gives you control over the typical curves to offset your system. So what I want to do in the new content that we're going to follow up with on Patreon as well is that I want to take my system and do calibration for it, see where we are, and we're going to use the calibration microphone to see how it sounds in my room. So I know you're not in my room, but you'll be able to see what it looks like from the corrected measurements, and we're going to assess what is happening, and we're going to compare it with Sound ID. I'm going to have it all on video while I'm doing these. I have more cameras now that I can use to shoot at. So it will be just like if you were here. This is how I like to do it, I've been doing these not on Atom, but on my own systems for other people here near Munich, in other people in Milano as well, in remote. I've been doing this with Mike now for a week or so. So Mike knows, can I can't say about that. Like, that's horrible. No, I mean, we've been working on like, what's the room doing? How does it sound in that sweet spot? Can you give me another measurement? Unfortunately, I'm not in his room, so I can't give him advice on really how I feel, in terms of sound. But I'm following people remotely or physically. I have friends with home theaters. I've done one maybe a month ago. I got a free dinner with him and his family, really wonderful people. And I just spent some time tweaking his room. So I know my way. I know it works. I want to see what the A control does, because the one thing my way doesn't do is fast. You need to know what you're doing. You need to be wary of a lot of variables. It's not automated. So Sound ID is just, you get the wizard, you follow what it says, and it does an excellent job at adjusting your room. Now, what you can do is not go 100%. Maybe you can go 30%, 20%. I think I had it set for about 20-ish%, and that was how I wanted it, okay? But on the other way, if you do it my way, I still believe it sounds better with free software. But I'm still using the Sound ID microphone, which I would recommend you get because it's better than other microphones. So Martin says, you had Sound ID, but you didn't like mixing on flat dead sounding headphones. Well, you don't need to go 100%. I wouldn't go 100% on it. But I guarantee you one thing. I've done it on the Bayer Dynamics on the 880s. 100% corrected, because these mad people that I was working with, still working with, they were like, I don't know, we do it 100%. It's better, And I was like, I don't like it. It's completely dead. We're talking about a headphone that needs to kind of be itself, right? You can't really bring everything to the common saturation level. It's still an artistic photo, right? And they were like, no, 100%. So I can guarantee you that I've worked with headphones on Sound ID, the 880 Pros. I have two pairs here. And they're headphones that Valeria likes as well, guaranteed. So it's kind of rare because she hates most headphones. So, and I've made stuff that I've checked on real studio stuff and on my own. I guarantee you, Sound ID delivers. If you learn it, it's painful, because working in 100% correction to me is not what I would like to do, but your brain will adapt. If you have the chops, there's no excuse. If the mix sounds bad and you blame it on Sound ID, it's not valid. It's you. It's not the app. So it functions as a system. But I still believe that I have better control over what I do with impulse responses, and also kind of maybe linearizing phase response, but it's longer than Sound ID for sure. So I want to cover that as well. I want to cover the two things. I want to talk about how I'm doing it, what I like about it, what I'm hearing. It could be that Sound ID in the A control completely kicks my back, and I say like, wow, this sounds better, Maybe there's some things that sound better, other things that don't sound better. I envision, I'm kind of confident my method's better, but we're going to see, On top of that, however, do not underestimate the fact that the EQ curves that you see here in this screenshot here, they are not to be like abandoned. Like, I'm not using EQ curves because I have an IR response that Alberto made for me. No. You are still going to offset to your liking the speakers, given some mojo settings. But you're going to do it once the IR is correcting the main aspect of your system, okay? So Martin says, you bought the IK MTM because I can calibrate the speakers with the included microphone. It saves the correction within the speakers. No need for software, which I preferred. Exactly same thing as Adam's doing. Your DSP is regulating the correction, so you don't have to worry about having the system on or off. You forget it, you don't remember, you print it through it. It's in the speakers, go. Forget it, right? So you can hire me as well to come over to the Netherlands. Well, that's closer than Orlando, for sure. That's for sure. Yeah, hire me. I want to visit. You're near Utrecht, right? I don't remember exactly where you are, but it's okay. hire me. Do it. Do it. Do it. So you had, I think, two different Bear Dynamics headphones. Two colored was like heaven on my head with great cushions. Wow. You say two Bear. So saying this about Bear Dynamic headphones, you're probably the only one. Oh, you're in Heidenberg. Okay, near Arnhem. I've never been there. Okay. You live near Utrecht. That's why I remember that. Okay, so it's a deal. Hire me. I'm extremely expensive, but it will be a pleasure to do it. And I can give you recipes as well. So that comes at a trade-off. But you found Bear Dynamic headphones colored, or like you said, two colored. That's you. I don't know. Like Bear Dynamics to me are like a piece of aluminum that you use to whatever. They're like very dry and unemotional. Also vegan options. Yeah, for sure. I do have. Valeria does have. We do have recipes for vegan. Don't worry about that. They do have huge deep somewhere. That's true as well. They do have some areas in which, but for example, I don't like the 770s and I don't like the 990s. If I had to choose, I would go with the 990s, but they overhype the highs a lot. Not because they hype the highs, but because they miss lows, in my opinion. But a lot of friends that I have that work in classical in Switzerland as well, they love the 990s. They've become a standard. And when there's bass in the orchestral stuff, but we're talking classical, they can feel how good that is or not, even if it's light. So they're not really missing bass. It's just a different perspective because it's open back. But I like the 880s Pro the most. And again, they're not flat for sure, but they're kind of dry. And I've worked with them. I know I can do mixes on them all day long, although I don't like to do it, So, and you need to like to do it otherwise. The 990s are open backs, 880 are mid, and 770 are closed backs. And I don't like the 770s, nor do I like the 990s as much as the 880s. But if I had to really pick an alternative, maybe I'll use the 990s. But I wouldn't, because they're kind of very light to me. And I don't know. I really like the 880s, but as a solution, but not as an enjoyable kind of thing. So, yeah. Well, they definitely kind of feel them. If you have bass heavy stuff, it's kind of hard to gauge how strong it will feel transient wise. Yeah. And it makes you do wrong choices, I understand. But for classical, for example, these people, they kind of have it as a standard. They all have 990s, and they would come to Berlin with my studio with 990s. Like, can I check in on my headphones? And I was like, okay, I have 880s. And they were like, oh, I have 990s. All right. And I would change. I was like, holy crap. Like, where's bass? And we're like, oh, it's there. They had in their brain, obviously, how much was too much. So they are a system that works. It's just that you need to get used to them. But for very heavy bass oriented, like you do industrial stuff, you want things that punch, I would move towards the 880s Pro. The 250 ohms versions, they're really easy to drive still, but they have good impedance and stuff, so they work. So we'll see how these goes with Adam. I'm thinking S5H as mains, and I'm thinking A7V for near fields. All right, so very big leap between the two, but a common dialogue. We're gonna get a vibe for how it is, and I know how these are built, but I gotta be honest with you. For example, I had never heard the 77s horizontal, and I was like, all right, this is tempting. And if you look at the price for these two, what? It's like no brainer. Like I don't know. Let's not even go there because I'm not doing shops or that stuff here. I don't want to do it. So, but the A7Vs, you're gonna feed them everywhere. So, absolutely. So I think these would represent the best of the near fields and the total jump to mains. Now, if I have time with Adam to do it, what I would like to do is really keep the mains and do other comparisons with the 77s, with the 8V, for example, or the 8H, or the 5 verticals. So take the mains as a reference and move to different in-between situations, because I know that a lot of people have issues understanding which model's nice to use. And I'm gonna use these not as a marketing factor for Adam. Of course, I'm gonna use their endorsement, but we're gonna use it to understand like why do you need a speaker? When do you need that speaker? Is it really fundamental? How can you get the impression of a main speaker at near field, and can you really cheat physics or not? All that stuff, you know. We want to learn, because when we learn stuff, we can take it everywhere. So that's good. Now the topic at hand, which is, so this is big. This took us a lot of time. Now the topic at hand that I want to talk about. Do I have the energy to do it? Yeah, I do. Do I? I gotta find it. We gotta cover these people. This is where it's at. This is where the money's at. That's the money topic right here today. We're gonna talk more water. Yeah, hydrate. We're gonna talk about running or building or having just a studio, a music studio in 2025. Okay, what do I think about it? What do I reckon? Okay, can we formulate like a better topic? Let's think about it. Drink, everybody drink, and then we'll come back in I don't know, like 2 seconds. I'm thinking I didn't really have enough time though. I think we should. Okay, so can you run a Excellent. Thank you, Martin. Can you run a studio in 2025? Perfect. Thank you. Nobody write anything else. Martin got it. It's the simplest and best version that I had in mind. Can you run a studio? We're talking a music studio in 2025. Okay? So this is going to be the question. Can you do it? What do I think about that? Now, bear in mind, I'm telling you opinions, okay? They're based on experience, but it's my experience, okay? And it's how I've seen things and how I see stuff. So, bear in mind, full disclaimer, as usual, I have no facts. I have facts for what happened to me and how I see things, but I have experience and I have opinions. But everybody does. I have mine, okay? But I'm thinking I can give you a little bit of an understanding of this because it popped up here and there. I have people, as I said, who are building, their home studios and stuff. So can you run a studio in 2025? What kind of studio? I think we should address this just so we introduce our minds to the topic. A music studio. Yeah, okay. A music studio, but which kind of music studio? So are we talking a project studio in which you are creating your own stuff? Is it a studio for you to compose in, to mix in? So is it a mixing studio for your projects? So is it a project mixing studio? Is it a recording studio, as Martin's typing right now? Is it a recording studio? Or is it a mastering studio? Okay, I'm gonna give it for granted, I'm gonna assume 100% that you know what I'm talking about when I say recording studio. It's a place where you record music, so you have a control room and you have one or more live rooms, like we had in Berlin since 2020, like until 2021. Okay, and or do you have a mixing studio? Mixing studio in terms of having a good control room in which you get tracks you cannot record, or maybe you can record a couple things, but it's in your control room and you mix. Or you have a mastering studio, stuff like this. Or you have your home studio, but home studio doesn't really mean anything. It means that your studio is in your home. Sometimes it means it's kind of a less expensive investment. It's a little bit more versatile, whatever, but you can have a mixing home studio, you can have a recording home studio, you can have a mastering home studio, you can have a project studio. That is usually a term for when you compose stuff. This place, for example, now you could call, this is my project studio, this is my composer studio, right, where I do. But I've had studios for a very long time, maybe too much time, that I was doing third-party work for. Okay, so it was my place and my wife's, but we were doing work for other people. Like Martin says, like, do labels still give a lot of money on recording within a studio? You're not sure because says Martin, I don't think so, but I'm not one who can say 100%. That's exactly what we're going to cover today. So we should differentiate, but I kind of don't want to do it as a main feature of the answer, because you know what? I don't really think that there's a distinction, like enough of a distinction to be made between a mixing studio and mastering studio. There is, but there's not as much. Okay, so I've run a recording studio for quite a bunch of years, and before that, and in that as well, I would mix as well, and I would tell people all the time that it was not a mastering studio. I have never had or run a mastering studio. And the more I would tell people that I wouldn't be a mastering studio and I wouldn't be a mastering engineer, the more these people said, okay, then you master it. And I was like, well, I just told you the opposite. And they were like, no, it's okay. I want to record it, I want to mix it here, and I want to master it. Okay? And then, so this is just to give you kind of a mindset. In the past 4 years, at least, I have mostly done stuff for myself. So I've changed what I do. I've been composing a lot, cutting things, sending them, mastering and mixing and finalizing things that I like for my own, that sadly other people don't pick to license. And I've made records of mine, but I usually send stuff out that isn't really mastered, isn't finished, because it's the company that takes it under their umbrella that then finalizes it, whether it's a game studio, whether it's a licensing partner, whatever, they do it that well. So I still send good stuff, but I don't say I do mastering, okay? Stuff like that. I kind of finalize it. We could say I finalize it, but it's not really a mastering job. When I do my own records, yes, of course, I master it. Then I've done reissues of soundtracks of video games. I got in touch with the original composers. They gave me their music. They gave me the licensing to do it. And I reissued remastered versions of their soundtracks. So this is work I've done with other people, for other people as well. But mostly I've been composing, okay? So I've shifted it completely. But for a lot of years, I've done piano lessons a lot, keyboards lessons a lot, but I would also teach computer music like Logic, Cubase, Pro Tools, and then I started mixing stuff for my band. We got a record label deal, and everybody in town, in the city, wanted to make music and records at my place, even if it was a project studio, because we had gotten that record deal. They were like, oh, they got a record deal, so they know people, we got to do the record there. These kind of got me to start mixing for other people, and then recording, mixing. I said I don't do mastering, and I started doing mastering because they wanted me to, so on and so forth. So what do I think right now about the running a studio? Like, can you run a studio in 2025? So first and foremost, is it for you and your own stuff, or is it for third parties? Okay, because if it is for third parties, I would still believe and think that you gotta think it through. Okay, so first and foremost, if you have absolutely no connections to anybody, I would probably prefer to have a recording studio. In my opinion, what I see that people lack the most is the capacity to record instruments. It's true that music is mostly no longer getting recorded acoustically that much. It's true that things are using sound libraries, samples and stuff, but there's a lot of clientele that cannot record drums or guitars, okay? So they want to have a space where they can do that. If you're thinking to work for third parties, like a label, like people that are independent artists, stuff like that, having a recording studio will most definitely hook you up on recording. Obviously, it's a recording studio, and mixing gigs alike. That's the thing. So if you build a mixing studio, the recording studios will steal your thunder because they will record something and the engineer will probably be asked in some capacity to mix the record. This is what happened to me most of the time. It's very rare in my ears that people came to the studio, recorded, and then left. And these are the people who were the most famous. These are people who were in Berlin at the time. They needed to track guitars or drums. They booked my place. I recorded it, handed the WAV files, and they left. This is okay. But my business wasn't about that as well because I would have died otherwise. And it was all things combined. So if you have a recording studio, you'll have mixing capacities as well because people will say, well, okay, we recorded it here, let's mix it here. Sometimes you have people who want to mix it at home, but what happens is that they try, they fail, or they don't really like it, they're too into the project, they come back to you and say, we give up, can you mix it? So having a recording studio kind of gives you that. Martin says it's true that recording drums and guitars isn't that easy to learn compared to mixing. I'm not saying mixing is easy, but compared to. This is another thing. Like, is a recording studio harder to run, more challenging to run as a knowledge thing? So, obviously, if you record and mix, you must know what it is to record and what it is to mix. Okay? If you're a mixing engineer, no, you cannot record just because you know mixing. Okay? And there's a lot of people who know mixing who have never seen a guitar amplifier. You know, you cannot assume, you should never assume anything, especially the fact that when you take a recording studio because you know mixing, you will fail. You might get lucky once or twice, but you will fail. The number of variables involved in recording is humongous. Okay? It's just insane. And to run the technicalities, but let's keep it at knowledge first. The knowledge to record something in a recording studio takes a recording engineer. Okay? So the problem with a recording studio is, number one, real estate space. Number one, you need space to have your musicians. Okay? The place we had in Berlin was over 240 square meters. There was a dedicated machine room, a control room that was about 60 square meters, 2 live rooms for a total of like 90, 100 square meters, and cafeteria and all that stuff, you know? That was huge. Fuseroom Berlin was huge. Was one of the biggest studios in Berlin, okay? For sure. And it was made by the people who also did acoustic work for Teldex. I didn't do acoustic work in there. For the control room, it was all calibrated. It was 5.1 Dolby compliant. I've done just a couple Dolby sessions. I usually had more of a stereo work, and I've done up mixing as well with Penteo and that stuff. But it was compliant, okay? How much electricity is needed for that? For air conditioning, lighting, a lot. Heating, a lot of heating, the bills. Luckily, all the windows were double-sided windows, and also tenants in the premises had it written in their lease contracts that there is a recording studio near you. You cannot make excessive noise because the recording studio is working. You have to maintain a certain level of silence to avoid disturbing the recording studio facility in the area. That came with the lease, with the people around us, okay? So people could have not said like, oh, dude, too much kick drum. Can you stop it? I'm throwing up here from 20 hertz. Nope, there's a recording studio. You did accept it in the lease. Actually, you have to stop making noise because I am working here as a studio. Very well isolated, top work, whatever. But 2 bathrooms, all that stuff, and then I said cafeteria stuff, cafeteria, you want to call it, all that stuff. So lounge, music, and even intercoms, on air, the usual stuff. And very well done. Like the live rooms were connected via glass, so musicians could see each other, but the singer would be in one room. It needs tons of cleaning, so it's huge. The lease contract, because of the square feet that you have, it's gonna be expensive, and also good luck finding a pre-made studio. So the acoustic works are expensive, because you can do it yourself, you can hire somebody, they're gonna be expensive. Acoustic calculations, good luck, very expensive. I don't even want to tell you how many, it's in the 5 figures, okay? Just to have your rooms recalculated with your speakers, okay? We dropped into the 5 figures twice in a matter of 2 weeks, okay? Are we clear on that, okay? And because I'm not rich, I started thinking like, maybe this was a mistake, and people were like, yes, it was. No, actually, I'm happy that we did what we did, but, that happened. So I'm telling you, 5 figures twice in 2 weeks for acoustic calculations. No work. No, are we there? Somebody who's doing measurements to know what the rooms will sound like and what to do and formulate a project, okay, which was then done by different entities, but to formulate the project for Fuseroom 2015. That's a lot of money right there in 2 weeks, okay? I could have bought a couple cars, easy, but I didn't. Maybe I should have. I just deliver, I don't know, recipes and stuff. So this is one thing. You need tons of money. Then you have to think about the gear. I don't even want to go there because it's boring. Analog, digital. You need 24 channels. You need 32 channels. We had about 32. We had 28 plus 4 that would go sideways to connect the other rooms if we needed producer speakers in other rooms and stuff. So luckily, I did a lot of the electrical job, a lot of the wiring to the other rooms. I did tons of things myself that saved a lot of money. And Valeria as well helped. Like, we worked our asses off from August to January. And we opened in January 2016, all right? So we're talking paying rent from June. Are we there yet? June to January, 0. Okay, the studio is not even working. I mean, why could I do that? Because of the work we had. We're still doing a lot of pure mix work. Love you, Fab. Thank you very much for being my second father in my life, taking me off the streets and stuff like that. We could move to Berlin because we had jobs, including, for example, the Amazing Dad. So, do you regret doing that? To some extent, yes, absolutely. Would I do it again? Probably yes, in those years, okay? It sounds like using loads of money with a high risk. Absolutely. Did it come back to it in terms of functioning and things? Well, if you mean the connections and the people and what I made with my career and stuff, yes. But the investment is insane. You do it because you like to do it and because you believe in it. You don't do it because it's gonna give you money, it's gonna give you power, and nothing like that. Okay, so absolutely. The gear, I'm talking, I don't even want, this is like, cash dropping. I don't want to make numbers, but sometimes you just have to keep your head, straight. It's a ton of money. Now, there's things I haven't talked about which are secondary. You build a recording studio to work with third parties. You have to think that because of your expenses, you are going to charge a lot of money. You cannot tell people to come in your studio for $20 an hour. Just no way. Unless you want to sign up to emergency and do good for the world, Greenpeace, WWF, whatever, do that, please. Because to become a martyr for what? For just 20 hours, you cannot do it. So you will charge people an amount of money per hour that might get as feedback, dude, I can't afford that. So all of a sudden you have a facility that provides a high quality service that is high enough that people cannot afford it. So why have you built it? Okay. So if you are completely third party, no connections, you want to put your business on Google, wait for people to call you, it will happen. They will call you. They will take a look at the website, take a look at the rooms, the gear, the stuff. This was 2015 in Berlin to 2021, so it's 6 years. And you look at it, they look at it, okay, but it will never, ever, ever be enough, okay? Why? Because to do this, you need connections. You need labels, you need colleagues, you need schools, you need places that will connect to your studio for anything. Master classes, demonstrations, showcases, you name it. You gotta make use of that real estate space, otherwise it won't work. Okay, because we're talking really old school studio. Okay, so this is very important. I'm throwing all the things that I'm thinking, like, brainstorming. Assistants, believe me or not, even if I hate people, I'm joking obviously, I kind of hate them a little bit, but not that much. You will need at least one assistant. There is no physical way that you can go from one room to the other room to adjust microphones, come back, check how it sounds, go back there, move the microphone, tell the darn drummer to stop playing the drum kit for once, and then while you're telling them the guitar player's playing or whatever, and then set the microphones up, change things in the overheads, go back to the control room, assess. There is just no way. There is no time. You can do it once or twice. You need somebody you can talk to tell them, move the overheads towards the tom couple inches. And I think the overheads are too high. How far are they? Is the drummer's gonna hit them? Blah, 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 blah. And the assistant's gonna do it for you. So now you have somebody to pay. You can try and do it with interns that are free to do it. Do you still have an assistant? I don't think so, right? No, I don't. I don't have an assistant here. Since I've moved here, actually since 2021, like end of 2020, I no longer had interns either, So I've had interns for months, tops, like 3 months tops per intern, which isn't really a lot. You would need to have somebody more to really teach them how to do stuff. They were extremely prepared. They were all scholarship people from the UK, from Egypt, from Argentina. Amazing people. I've been the luckiest person in the world because my assistants and interns have been fun people. We had a lot of fun. They were prepared already. But there's just no way to be prepared for what recording sessions will be. Also, there's no way of knowing what your recording session will be. You might be interning for a studio and they have nothing to do for a couple weeks because there's no gig. And then a gig happens and it completely glues you to the chair for 2 weeks, and you get enough money for it. But you gotta pay your assistants. If you do the intern job, they learn, you don't pay them, but they're not an assistant. They're work to do. Unless you're really some of those bastards who exploit young people, shame on you. I really hate you. You should kind of go melt yourself in whatever alien substance, green boding acid blood is available in science fiction movies. Having an intern is more work. It's not less work. It's fun. It's really good. It gives you a lot of satisfaction as somebody because you're transferring knowledge. But if you're exploiting your intern to get cheap labor, you're evil. I hate you. You should not do it. It's more work because this person is young. They don't know what to do. They might help you once they know. But, if you're cleaning your cafe, that area, that's okay. It's four hands, me and him. It's okay. It's faster, but it's a lot of job. There's a lot of questions, a lot of things to explain. So, you know, uh, and you say you don't do recording sessions anymore. No, I've done a couple things for friends when I had amps here and recorded things, more project, like put an amp there, put a microphone. I still have all my amps, at least the ones I've used on keyboards as well. I've sold many when we closed the studio. I've sold my Yamaha drum kit. I sold my couple Marshall heads and uncabs. I sold the Angle Power Bowl, which I kind of hate because I love that head, but had no use here for that really. And I think I've sold a combo amp as well. Maybe a PV, yes, which I also loved, but I had to let go. I still have my Top Boost AC30. I have my Ampeg for bass. I have, what do I have? The little Marshall and the Washburn and the Fender. I'm looking at them like behind there. I love Angle amps. It was hard to let go, but I had to. I didn't have guitar or basses. You might want to think about that as well if you're putting a recording studio up, to have some instruments that people can play. But I had good friends that would rent their guitars and basses need be, and it was okay. We never had issues, but most of the people come with their own instruments. Keyboards I still have, so people, find keyboards in there. That's kind of nice because synthesizers, sometimes they don't know they need them, but they want them. So, you played once with your Gibson, the Angle, so much bowls. Yeah, it's power bowls. We used to call it the power bowls with plural, but it's power bowl. And I love it. And Angle has this thing where clean is crunch, crunch is drive is high gain, and high gain 1 is high gain 2, and high gain 2 is never ever even think about using it because it's such high gain. But I love Morse on guitar, and he's such an Angle endorser. That kind of Angle sound I really, really like. But on keyboards, didn't have much use. The 2210, the 2204, it was a friend of mine's, and he took it back. He had it somewhere there. They're beautiful heads by Marshall as well. And cabinets, I had the 1969 vintage and the greenbacks. Beautiful, but I have no use for 4x12, 100 watts, too much. But I kept some. These are beautiful amps that I like to have here. So recording studio deal, a lot of things to consider. However, it's really hard to do recording without a recording studio. People try, people use their apartments, people get detained for it, but you can't really record unless you're in a recording place, and it takes recording equipment. So I think the stakes are higher, but what you offer is more rare to find, right? The problem is, I would say, unless you have good connections with people that will give you constant work, don't do it. Most of the, and now we've talked about music, okay? Now, let's talk post-production. Let's talk recording, but post-production. So now you have actors. We have had those as well. Not as many, but we've made, some extra money with them because you have actors in Berlin. They're visiting or they live there. It's a huge city, big, so they come there. They need a studio. You answer pronto and you record them, okay? So that's a little bit more of a niche business. And remember, there are studios that have been built with specific post-production needs. They're smaller, they're cheaper, and they're well connected. So when you get an actor to do a gig, it's because they couldn't book it in time, okay? They might be independent movies. I mean, if you think about it, it's like some of the best directors that I've met online first, and then I had a chance to meet them in NAMM, for example, some of them. I met them through casual booking at the studio in Berlin, And people were like, do you know what he did? And I was like, nope. I don't know who he is. David who? And it's like, this guy did Mad Max Fury Road. I was like, I think I did the best impression of myself back then. I was like, all of a sudden, you go like, what? Sorry, what? It's like, can I go to the restroom, throw up, and come back? I met the most amazing people who are actually really friendly, really communicative with you about what they do and stuff out of random gigs, you know? So, you never know. But it's a niche business, and a recording studio for music, when it does actor stuff, it cannot do it. You need a lot of monitors. If you have a lot of actors, take a look on YouTube at what they do when they record things like Family Guy, or when they record video games like Mass Effect, which is an awesome video game, by the way. We should all play that. Awesome music, awesome everything. Now I have that in my mind. I can't take it off. So I haven't played 2, but I've played 1. It's beautiful. So look at what happens in those recording sessions. They're different. And also, hear me out. Don't skim on the following. The software you need to tune in people from abroad, from remote connections, into your Pro Tools to take a look at the session while the actors are recording, the monitors, the displays, the headphone systems, and the cueing system that will give the actors these pies, these numbers, these things that move, to let them know when to enter with a sort of like a phrase or laughing or an effect, is extremely expensive. Okay, so you have to budget the software. You think you have Pro Tools, you're done? Nope. Think again. Most of these apps are still not subscription based. You need to pay them. And some of them can easily give you $749 for a plugin. It's like, what? In falsetto, what? Because it's expensive. It's really expensive. Okay, so you have to factor in things. Well, maybe you don't need the analog gear for a post-production studio, but you need software because the actors need the cueing. There's very, very, very specific things you gotta learn if you wanna work with movie directors in remote, connected to your studio, to have the actor there. What I had in Berlin was bulletproof. It was latency free. It was one-to-one, as if you were with me in the control room wearing headphones. I would give you the feed out of the cueing so that you could hear the actor as it was. And you wanted to switch the feed to the produced version, you could do it like that, So that's even more than a Phoenix 2. Yeah, it is. Absolutely. Or the matte DQ Orange. Beautiful plugin, by the way, but it's expensive. That's true. So it's a lot of stuff for what? You think like for just cueing stuff? Well, it's the backbone of that studio. So, okay, we have not even factored in people, okay, yet. Let's not do people yet. Let's move to mixing, okay? So this is important. Mixing, okay, mixing is a different deal because you can have a smaller studio. You can have analog gear if you want. Well, that will give you more boost because people see analog gear. They say, wow, this guy has analog gear. Let's go mix his stuff, mix with his stuff and gear and so on and so forth. But a mixing studio is easier to build than a recording studio. I don't need to explain you that. Now, if you are mixing for third parties, you can say, well, okay, this is me, this is my studio, I mix for them, and maybe I get stuff on, WeTransfer, and I mix it and I send it back. Unless you have a pedigree, like you're famous for records you've mixed, nobody's gonna hire you for that. The reason why I mixed a lot of stuff was already because of record deals that bands that had recorded with me had gotten, which probably, I gotta be honest with you, I had nothing to do with, or maybe, then there's some nominations for things I had mixed. So you gotta put some things, LA Film Award, that stuff. It's like, okay, film festival, they didn't win, but they were nominated for best original score, best recording and stuff. And so it's like, all right, so he did that, for shorts, for little things. Berlin's really prolific in the short movies area. So it's very word of mouth once you get people to know that you had a shot at some things. But the reality is, who knows if that's you who made it sound beautiful. The recording session was Abbey Road, with the London Philharmonic. It's all obviously going to sound good. It sounded good already. So But you know how hype works, right? But if there's nothing like that, and I guarantee you, even with that, you would super, super struggle right now. People are going to not hire you because it's like, why would he mix it? If they do, it's because you're super cheap. You shouldn't be, number one. You're doing it for free. You absolutely shouldn't do it ever. Or maybe they have, they're I don't know what other reason it could be, right? So if you're doing it for third parties, do you have a label? Okay, well, now if you have a label, you're not doing it for third parties. You are the label. You mix it because then you put people under your label. Well, that's a different approach. That's something that maybe a mixing studio might work with. Okay, so you build your own mixing studio because you have a label. You see how the plan works? It's like it's connected to something that it can feed on. Very important. But if you have a mixing studio waiting for other people to hire you, I'm telling you right away, there's benefits. It's faster to do. You don't need a lot of real estate space. Rent is going to be cheaper, but it doesn't work. In 2025, in my opinion, it doesn't work because people mix it at home. Mix it in places where they're comfortable in. And we're not doing people yet, though. We're not doing people yet. So let's move to mastering. Mastering studios. You cannot master because you are a mixing engineer. You cannot mix because you are a recording engineer. But if you do it, if you know people, if you do it enough, if you learn, you might get better at different tasks. But there will always be something that you can do better than other things. Okay? Now, the more you go towards the beginning of the journey, so the more you're closer to when music is born, the more, God forbid, you make a mistake or overlook something because you're gonna get destroyed by that. And you're also gonna destroy the music within because that's what happens. It's so fragile, so at the beginning of its birth cycle that you're really hurting it, okay? For better or worse, a mastering engineer can really mess up a master. You have it done by somebody else, The song is already a mix that we like because we recorded it right, we wrote the song right, we arranged it right, we rehearsed it, recorded it, mixed it, and then somebody made a terrible mastering job. We just pay somebody else to do it. We wasted the first master, but we do it somebody else. But if you mess up at recording level, you're really putting the band in trouble, even energy-wise. So the more you get closer to the birth of music, the more it is. Now, the best thing, what it would be that nobody messed up anything. That's obviously, what you wouldn't like to do, what you need to do. So a mastering studio now. A mastering studio could be technically even smaller than a mixing studio. Maybe doesn't need to have a ton of gear. Maybe has a couple pieces that are very, very good, okay? In price, they're gonna be as expensive as the analog outboard that the mixing studio has because you have two things that cost you $20,000. The other guy has 20 things that costed him $1,000 each, or her, and costed them $1,000 each. So same price, final cost, price tag, 20 things versus 2, same deal. You have to drop out 20 grand, okay? So that's a lot. You say, well, you know what? I'm going to do it with plugins. We go back to it. What's the added value of your studio? Because plugins are the same everywhere. If people don't see the difference in what you have, also acoustics-wise, they're not going to give you a gig. But again, if you have a label, if you have a place that you attract people to, now you're building your studio as a technical room for another business. So you're not really doing mastering for third parties, okay? Now, on one side, mastering might be the easiest gig to get because people have something, it sounds so-so, they want to redo it. Mastering isn't really expensive as mixing would be. It is given what you do, but it's not like you're dropping $1,000 per master, right? But it could be if you're famous. But if you ask for people like, all right, so I take $50, don't do it. ever. Let's say you go for a cheap master, you take like $120 per song. Okay, then somebody comes with a record, they have 10 songs, and you drop some discount over that, right? $120, you go like, wow, you got $120 for a master for one song. That's a lot of money. You want to know what it takes to master that? I know you know that. You'll see that it's really zero. $50 is Mike's price. All right, people, hire Mike, give him $50. He's going to master it for you. He's going to care. That's a rare commodity these days. I can tell you that. We know he cares, so that's a good one. But, that's what it is. And you know how many people I know that charge $50? A lot. And I keep saying, like, don't do it. And they do it because if they ask for $100, people say, like, well, it's too expensive. I can't afford that, which means maybe one should not do it. But again, you have your own label, production team, you build a project, you want people sign in, and then you're making a studio so that you don't have to rely on somebody else's studio. That is exactly what has happened in the last years. And that's why pure mastering studios are getting less and less work. If you look it up, there will be showing to you that they are somehow, you'll find signs, they're connected to different kind of businesses. So we haven't talked people. We've talked systems, technical stuff, right? We've talked, studios. So remember that there has to be a value that people see that makes sense for them to pay you. Are you famous? Have you made things that have had some kind of fortune? You won't believe how many people hire you because just so they can get connected to circles you're in, and you tell them like, are you hiring me to get into my circles? Because I'm not looking for that. And they'll go like, no, but they mean yes, but I'm going to say no, that might happen. There's a lot of people who I know that are famous that I work with that get gigs. And people are super excited about being in a studio they've seen online, things like that, with famous producers. And then 3 months later, they go like, I don't like how it sounds, But they're afraid to tell the engineer because it's a famous engineer. So there's two things that might happen. They don't say it. They end up with a product they don't like, but they paid for it, a ton of money. And their experience is ruined because ultimately what happens is they really remember that they've been there, had fun, but ultimately the record didn't sound good, right? So their music is kind of wasted. The energy, momentum's gone. Horrible. The other type of person is like they don't like it, but they don't communicate that to the producer engineer because they're scared or they're afraid. So if you don't talk to the engineer to tell them what you want and communication's not happening, you are never out of the blue gonna receive an MP3 file and go, it's exactly what I wanted. I mean, chances are very, very slim. You gotta talk to the person you hire, right? So first you gotta trust the person you hire. If you go to a studio because they have good gear, and trust me, I've had clients that came to the studio because it was a good rate for a whole month for what I had available. They liked how I had done some records, and boom, let's do it, okay? It's not enough. You need to kind of really trust the person, mostly because of what they've done in terms of other records, So what happens most of the time is that you get a lot of people these days. So now we're talking people. It had to happen. We're talking people. You have a lot of potential clients that really have no idea of what is going on in a studio. And this reminds me of one of my accountants that I had who told me one of the first days that I hired him, he was like, I have to be honest with you, Alberto. I have no idea, not that I need it, but I would like to get a better understanding of what you do because I don't really know how a record is made. Can you talk to me about it? I was like, absolutely. People, can I? Of course. Look at that. We're 2 hours in, whatever, an hour 58. Can I? Of course can I. I can, yeah, I can. Let's do it, But it's the same thing by people who hire you. They have some kind of music, they want to mix it. They come to you and say, can you make it better? But you will instantly realize that a lot of the people that potentially can hire you and your studio have little to no idea how to make a song, how to build it from the ground up, and what a studio really does. This, my friends, is a problem. You can't really have somebody coming in to dedicate their music and what they put a lot of effort in and paying a ton of money without a knowledge of the process itself. Now, in one way, there's a limit to this. The person that hires you can't be a mixing engineer. They can't all be people who are recording engineers, mixing engineers, mastering engineers, obviously, But it would be so awesome if they at least were musicians, That'd be, how cool would that be? If somebody coming to your studio who made a song with mouse and keyboard were actually musician, we'd be in heaven. But no, that can't happen. Because studying music today, thanks to the beautiful people in charge of our governments and how the world is and how everything is being done, really don't have the time, the money, the energy, the drive to learn music. But lo and behold, they have tons of tools, tons of plugins, tons of pieces of software, and some of them just want to make a record and enter a recording studio. Now, believe me, some of them have also a lot of money and they're willing to pay for it. They come to you and say, this is a mix that somebody has done for me. I don't like it. Would you be able to mix it for me? You listen to the mix that the other person's done and you go like, I really like this mix. This, you won't believe how many times has happened to me in Berlin. And I tell the client, look, I like the mix you don't like. So chances are I'm going to make something you also don't like. So I'm not the guy for the job. You need at least to find a guy who doesn't like the mix he's hearing as you don't, so that they can make something else. I listened to what you disregarded, what you said it's not good, and I really like this mix of your song. So I'm not the person for the job. A lot of people got offended by it. I don't know why. I saved their butts. They didn't take it. Like they were like, I want to do a record here anyway, so you should have said yes. They felt maybe that I was finding excuses or something. It's not an excuse. I like the mix you said it's not good that this other person did. I could have taken the money, do the mix, they don't like it, and say, I don't care, you paid for it. Because then there's this other question, as Martin's bringing up indirectly, how do you get paid? Because I dare you find a studio that will tell you how much they're getting, and a studio that tells you if they're charging in advance or not. It's very rare. And a lot of people deceive you. They say 1,000, but they charge 100, for their filthy little studio in Berlin. And lo and behold, there's tons of people that go there because it's cheaper than you are. And you're too expensive for them. You can't really bias your thinking towards misinformation, intel that is not happening, but just be honest. Take a look at what the expenses are. I'm telling you, most of the time, chances are it will not be worth it. So this does not mean a recording studio in 2025 is useless. I said that. Mixing studio is, mastering studios. It's just like doing it purely for the business. Open the storefront, put your Google pin in and say, I'm here. It will not work. You have to have a huge plan in motion. And most of the time, it will not be enough, especially if it's relying on other people's companies, non written agreements, and stuff like that. But we were talking people. Most of the people that will come to your place will not be professionals. Why is that? Because the majority of people doing music are non-professionals. That's just simple statistics, okay? The people that come to your studio who are professionals, and lucky me, I've had tons of them as well, these people will never ever give you trouble. If you are solid and you know what you're doing, these people will get in the studio, do what they need to do, ask you how you want to do stuff, let you do it, take the stuff they have paid in advance, and they will leave. And they will leave hours. Please hear me out on this one. They will leave your studio hours before the time they have booked. Are we there with your mind? Are we in this universe? They will go leave the studio, shaking hands, having the last coffee cup, hours before the end of their shift that they paid for. And they will not get their money in advance back. They will never even dare to ask it, because the work was done faster because you're a good engineer. The work was done faster because the studio works perfectly. It sounded good. It gave them incredibly good vibes. Okay, we go. So Martin says, I have a great example. I wanted to buy USB sticks for my first album. I asked friends, and quite a lot of people said, I want to buy the album on USB. Guess what happened? Just a few. Absolutely. It's easy to talk like I'm doing, but once you put your money where your mouth is, that's a different story. Fully different story. So it's easy to say, yeah, but the reality of things is very different. So a lot of people that come to the studio are not professionals. So this means that running a studio of any sort has to deal with the artistic properties of somebody who is very fragile, very unique, and also very unknowledgeable in terms of music production. When these people face a recording, mixing, or mastering environment, they break. There's no other way. They will break, because the way you see a master session, the way you handle a recording session, which by the way requires humongous human skills, because a recording studio, recording with a band, means really connecting physically with them. It's no mixing, it's recording, which was and still is the part that I love the most. And I think I was the best at recording, not mixing, not mastering, recording. In fact, when I mastered my mixes, I needed a couple weeks to detach myself. When I mixed my own recordings, I had to detach myself for a good week or so. But recording is really where I believe I've shined the most. Okay, so was it the one task that I liked the most? No. Like, to me, playing and composing is still what I like best. Okay, so I was born piano and keyboards player. I have my pedigree and degrees in piano and keyboards. That's who I am, and why did I do that? Because that's what I like. I like synthesizers, I like piano, I like talking about harmony centers. Like, you won't even believe, because we don't talk about that stuff. Maybe it's better for you. So don't you feel sad that you don't have a recording studio anymore, says Martin? No. You know why? Because what I did when I moved in 2020, I was very lucky. I'm going to say something extremely evil, maybe. But the COVID pandemic happened at the best time possible in my timeline, in my career. Now, I seriously wish it didn't happen. It hadn't happened, for sure. Just put it down there. I'm not happy it happened. I wish it hadn't happened. But when it happened, we already had a notification for our end of the lease, because the place where we are, the huge complex where we were in Berlin, is undergoing renovation and is becoming something completely different. So we had to leave anyway. Okay, I had looked for studios, new places to gather and do the new Fuseroom in Berlin, and all of the colleagues and people I had asked to said, I am sorry, I don't have the amount of capital money that you have to do a joint venture together. You know, I didn't accept somebody to become an associate of mine where I would bring in tons of resources and past expenses, and they would just bring their Adidas sneakers, okay? You know, a little bit filthy, and their bike, that's it. You know, just the rear light, not the front one. That's not how it works. We do a studio together. We drop serious amount of time into what kind of resources I'm putting into it and what you are bringing into it. So a lot of the people said, I don't have the resources. I don't want to do it, or I would do it, but actually not this big and stuff. So we didn't do it, and I'm actually super happy that I got back into composing, writing music. I would never ever change it. Actually, I would probably have preferred, but I think everything has a right time, to go back to composing music earlier than that. Okay? So I'm giving it like 2 years later kind of thoughts. I wish I had gone back to it. I would not change it. I like what I do now. I've always been playing and doing music, like teaching piano for sure, but also a lot of bands need keyboards, you know? So I think this is what kept me going, because there's always a keyboard part. There's always something that as a piano teacher you tell the band in terms of harmonies or things, and it kind of keeps you in the loop. But ultimately, I kind of like composing more. You know, absolutely. Playing synthesizers, writing music, like seeing the DAW empty and starting to write music and getting into the song is kind of the best thing ever, you know? So, but keyboards, as Martin says, like always gave me bands and gigs. Absolutely. I think keyboard players, they will get into any band. There is always shortage of keyboard players. It was like this in LA, Boston, Italy, even before my studies abroad. Everybody wanted to play with me or wanted me to play with them. That's the best thing. They didn't want to play with me. They wanted me to play with them. That's that's a very different thing. So, yeah, you had 3 bands, Martin says. Like, I had 3 bands at times. I know that. Like, couple projects, one for you, one for stuff. I used to, I started playing piano because I wanted to be in a band. You know, I wanted my friends to play with me, to play with my friends and just have fun with them, you know? So that was perfect. That was a lot of fun. We would write our own songs and stuff like that. So I know. So building a studio today has that. I guarantee you that on top of the technicalities of the gear, the rooms, the rent, blah, 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 the people thing is really, really important. Like, you will easily get frustrated. You need to grow a thick skin, because people are unaware of what it takes to, for example, take somebody's song and mix it or master it. And chances are you will miscommunicate with them what it means to work together as a mixing engineer. I guarantee you that the best tip I can give you is to make it absolutely clear of the process. You have to talk people into the process that you intend to do it, how much money it costs. If it takes it longer, it costs more. More revisions means more money. Things like that. I don't know, I'm just making examples of valid things. Make sure you do that, because people will hurt you sooner or later. Somebody is gonna say that their girlfriends or boyfriends have listened to your mix on their headphones and it sounds better or different, and you have can make adjustments. They will reach into you in a way that you will feel kind of violated in the time, money, and effort investment that you've done. Granted, this can happen with everything. I write a song, okay? Say I write a sketch, which is maybe something that happened a month ago. I write 20 of them and I send them out and they reply, dude, you missed the mark completely. And I was like, whoa, did I? And we're like, yeah. We're not saying it's not good. It's like it's not what we're looking for. Okay? And I'm like, okay. So they name one track that they think that it's like kind of where it is. And I say, take this one and stem it off to do different stuff. Now, of course it's going to hurt because it's like, crap, I loved what I've done. But I am at a point where the people I work with are professional enough that their judgment is really never personal, or I know that they are talking about a product thing. And also, call me crazy. I have absolutely zero doubts on the quality of the music I am outputting. Okay? So now here I give you plenty of liberty to say, this guy's nuts. He thinks he's God on earth. Whatever you might think, I'm okay. I am just telling you something very simple. When I let a song or a sketch out to anybody who's commissioning it to me, I love my song. I love it. And I think it's the right thing for it. However, hear me out. I am not the person that invites you to the vernissage of their horrible paintings and keeps saying, it's awesome, right? It's awesome, right? It's awesome, right? This is so good, right? Do you like it? Beautiful, right? No. I am not that person. I don't need those people. Absolutely. I will never give you a song of mine and say, it's awesome, right? Isn't it awesome? Isn't it fantastic? I am not that person, ever. I am not going to talk to you. I don't ever want to meet you, probably. It's okay. I actually do want to meet the people out here, especially if they're going to hire me to do room acoustics and go to the Netherlands, which is amazing. All right. No, I mean, I've been meaning to do a meetup with you in person for so long, but I don't need to throw my incredible security on my own. I am a person, do you know why I like my song? Because I've worked my butt off for years to study how to make songs a specific way. And when there's something that doesn't work, you know what's the most incredible and unbelievable thing that I do? Are you ready? Because it's kind of like the most rare and amazing thing. You will never guess. I study to learn it. Now, how many people do you know that do it? To be honest with you, I don't know many. Because it takes time, takes effort. But lucky me, I'm broken this way. I've always done it since I was a kid. And that's the only way I function. I am scared of many things, but I'm not scared of the things I don't know. Because I know that I just have to sit down, close my phone, do it. Once there's something that triggers my mind and say, like, I would really love to know why this song sounds this way, I sit down and do it. I've studied enough to have the means to do it, and I keep telling people, if you study with me or people that are like me, you'll get it. There's just, you need to give me money, a lot of it probably, and you need time, because money isn't really the issue. Is time. Time is the worst. Is the best, but it's also the worst because it doesn't come back. Money might. I don't think so, but it might. But time doesn't. So I am absolutely at home with, I guarantee you I have many defects. You want to know one thing I do that I'm like really horrible at? I don't want to check my bank account balance. Take a look at bills or that stuff. I really have a phobia on this stuff. Like, I'm weird. I'm thinking like I should get checked because it's like I don't want to get that kind of comparison. I don't know. I don't want to know exactly how much money I have in my bank account. And Valeria says like, are you nuts? You have to. I really cannot do it. I let her do it. I'm really like, it's horrible. Like, life outside of the studio scares me a lot, a lot. But music, chords, piano voicings, chordals, um, whatever, every Bill Evans lick I cannot still play, I'm absolutely okay with it. I'm at home. It's no problem. We sit down, we learn it. My brain will get it at the best it can. I will never be Bill Evans. Okay, well, I can guarantee you that. Do you have any doubt? Because I want to make absolutely sure and reassure you that will never happen. But the studying thing, the understanding why it works, the getting it under my fingers, dedicating time to it, I'm okay. That's okay. So I am not saying I'm, God among men. It's just like I'm a very, very limited, faulted, obsessed individual. But I have made my life about being good at something and making sure that when people hire me, I am up to the level that they expect. I thought as a teenager that you had to be good at something, really good at something, to find your space in a team of people, in society for what you do. So you had to do what you loved, you had to learn what you loved, you had to study what you loved the most, and to do what you loved the most with people who were better than you so you could learn from them, you had to be good. And to be good, you had to study and understand what your teachers were asking. Don't make too many demands. Trust them. Study. Okay? So, thank you, Martin. Martin said, thank you so much for sharing this information. This is the whole reason why I'm still a patron, because of the information, the great platform. I am here. We've been here for 2 hours 20. If I knew this day was the last one that I could talk to you, I would not even freaking stop. I need to really, like, if there's something I can say that can kind of bring a little bit more light, why not? I have tons of endorsements. I am the most blessed, unknown people in the planet. I have brands that trust me, hardware people, monitoring people, keyboards people. I mean, this year I've become artist for Korg. The people I was playing keyboards when I was a little kid. I'm the happiest person on earth. I still feel like I don't deserve it, but I know I worked my ass off to do this. And I know what they're getting as a brand is good because I know what I'm doing. But I don't believe what I'm doing is genius. It's just a guy who dedicates his time to do it. So I'm really thankful for people like you, Martin, that are listening to what I do and give me hope when I get out of this house, of this studio, go back to my wife, have dinner, and tomorrow maybe I have dinner somewhere else. You give me the hope that around me there's some guy, I don't know, like I didn't know you before, who believes in what I'm thinking. Maybe he's doing, I don't know, woodworking. Maybe he's building boats. Maybe he's building lights. I don't know. But it's the principle that I think makes us good humans, right? And I'm not a father. I don't have kids. So there's also time that I have, of course, that I've dedicated my life to, that I can with compromises and stuff like that. You think I'm a cool guy and I like to support a little bit. Thank you very much. I appreciate. I know by now, like all the time we've been here, you see where it goes. I'm here. I mean, take a look at the clothing I have. It's always this freaking same 3-4 shirts. Number one, I love the shirts I use for the videos, so that's why I'm attached to them. So number one, there's that excuse. But I'm faulted at a lot of stuff, So that's what it is. And I guarantee you I put way more time into this because I love it than what Patreon or lessons or stuff. So it's a minimalistic approach. Absolutely. Less is more. Do I have alien shirts? Yes. Do I have Predator shirts? Yes. Do I have what? I don't know. What other shirts do I have? Anything else? Yet? Okay, well, then we're covered. Okay, right. So, not naked though. No. By all means, I won't do that. I'll have cool shirts. I like stuff that sometimes on video reminds me of, games or movies that I loved as a kid. Stuff like that. Nostalgic things as usual. So, people will, you will, it depends. So, as I was saying, I always believe that you have to do what you love. You have to become better at what you do. Try and be the best at what you do so that you can work with people who are as good or better than you are. And then you get hired to do the job you like to do. Unfortunately, I found out that this is really not how you get to be in some chairs, you know. Most of the chairs in our world today are available and there's people sitting on them because of network, because you're in some kind of family or group, or you're kind of recommended somehow, right? There's a lot of people who occupy chairs. I mean, we don't need proof, right? We can turn on TV and just go like, all right, I see that, you know? People who are the most powerful people in the world are absolute horrible people and kind of average, you know, average in everything they do, you know. We've had people who've done the most prestigious universities in the United States who passed with an average GPA of 2.4, whatever, without having 3 point something out of 4. They have you drop out, but not those people, because those people knew people, and so they could do it. If we go there and we have a GPA of short than 3, we get kicked out hard, as it should be, because we're not applying enough. So how do you expect everything in music to work differently, you know? But that should not discourage you. If you believe, I mean, I'm okay, you know? You do what you want to do, improve on it, and keep doing it. This is also true for the studio business. If you run a place, you're doing good, be communicative with people, and that's, you know, Evil Dead. That's a shirt I should get. That's right. I'll put a note down. Absolutely. So, and you say, I prefer to work with people who are way better on stuff than I am, so I can learn. That's true, me as well. But sometimes to play with the cool cats, I don't know, like in a jazz quartet, you need to be good enough because they don't want to play with you. That's the problem. So, but if you strive enough, if you do good, if you keep learning, that's good. And now, one thing that I also want to say, if there's anybody in the future, or maybe right now, watching this feed, as I have taught to my students in the years for so many times, if you are somebody who is not like me, I have never occupied a chair right off the bat, because I'm telling you my worst side of my business world. I am not good with networking and connections. I hate dinners just for dinners. I do dinners if we're friends and we laugh our asses off. I'm not a violent person. I'm against violence and guns and stuff. But if you have guns and we want to shoot some cans, I'm down with it. Do you want to paint miniatures for board games? I'm down with it. Do you want to play video games? I'm down with it. As long as we're vibing, we can do everything. Even things I've never done. I can go fishing. I'm horrible at fishing, but I love that as well. I've never done hunting. I wouldn't kill animals for that unless I'm hungry for it, you know. But I know people who do, and I kind of respect them as well, because the people that I know that do it kind of have principles behind it. They're not just out there shooting anything that moves. There's people and people, right? But if you're one of those people who are extremely well connected and was able maybe in their 20s to get into the best jobs ever, you know, hey Mars, how you doing? Great to see you. Thank you for being here. I started 6. The video will be available soon. If you missed everything, don't worry, because we've been going for 2 hours 27 minutes, and I have dinner to attend at. But I'll do it in 2 minutes. I'm almost done, so there will be a rewatch like this, no? So what I was saying is something I've been telling my students for a very long time, even classrooms, you know, when I don't know them, I'll go like, I am that type of person who never occupied a chair and was able to stay in that chair because of good coincidences. I was always moving. So I didn't do it 20 years old. Like, I teach piano, that's what I do, and I teach piano for 40 years. So I don't really have a chair. And because of these, I've learned to do too many things. I wouldn't say too many things, but a lot of things. Okay, recording, mixing, mastering, producing, coaching artists, composing music for video games, and remixing it and doing and voiceovers and blah, 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 it, you don't really need to be like that. I became something like that because I have a lot of issues connecting with people and being at that dinner, and telling somebody, all right, I think I'm a good team player, but I think people don't really gel with me. I don't think I'm an easy person to be around. So for this reason, I have never been given chairs that were prestigious, gave me a lot of money, and allowed me to say, okay, I'm in this chair. Who cares? I'm going to stay in this chair forever. A lot of people reach their 30s and they're mixing engineers. They're mixing engineers forever, I was never able to do that because of my personal. It's not that people really close me out. It's that they did it also because they didn't feel comfortable with me in the team. I've had a lot of people see me over specialized, and these meant that people said he can't be part of the team. They saw me as probably some possible, somebody who could just take over positions. A lot of people didn't feel safe. And you know why? Because a lot of the people, luckily not all of them, but that I initially met, were occupying their seats not because they knew how to do their jobs, but because they knew people that had put them there. So whenever somebody is in a position where they really got at something because they don't know how to do it, they will always be scared of the person who really knows how to do it. But I'm not calling myself a genius. I'm saying that I'm somebody who started something, tried to get into something, and it was said, no, but these other guys gonna get the gig. And I was like, heck, I was not good enough. I have to learn how to do it. Let's go with that, And I learned some more, and people were like, okay, now there's something else. I try, I apply, I do it, and then I see somebody else get the job, and I was like, crap, it's probably because I wasn't good enough. I have to be better. I have always believed my grandmother, my nonna, that you have to be good. You can't talk bad about other people. You don't do it, whether it's right or wrong, it's their own fault. It doesn't matter. You keep improving. If you're worth, good things will happen, And it's true, I still believe in that. But because I never got into sitting in any seat, I blamed myself for it and I kept learning, This made me close a lot. It made me close a lot because I spent a lot of time learning how to be better at it. And I guarantee you it's not how you get into the real things. It's because you know people. That's the number one. And I remember I've taught some classes where people don't know me and I go, it's one of my cliches. I'm like, all right, what's the most important thing as in the music business? And people go like, what is it? And I'm like, monitoring. You need to have good monitors. And other people like, you need to know how to play an instrument. You need to go to know harmony and theory. And I'm like, nope. It's you gotta know people, And this obviously shocks the class because it's like, what is this person? They don't know me, right? But then I get to terms with saying like that, unfortunately, a lot of positions are acquired because you are on a leash, And I was never, God knows. If she's there, she knows. I was never on a leash, ever. I cannot be with you if I think you suck because you have money to give me for some reason. I will tell you suck. Or you will actually see it in my face when we're playing together. And you'll go like, I don't like this guy because he's telling me that I suck. Well, that's what I do because I don't see the bonus of being with you to play just because you're the son of somebody famous. I don't care, And that's why I didn't gel with a lot of people. And I keep saying that it's pheromones, right? I have pheromones that people feel and go like, no, I don't want to do it. So if you're one of these people that have access to positions just because of they know people, more power to you. I don't like being you, but I will honestly tell you that you will always get the best gigs compared to me because you know people and I don't do it. Okay? So unfortunately, knowing people is far superior to knowing how to do something. I have to break it down to you. That's my personal experience. However, I would also like to give the people who are there just because they know people and they know how to do stuff, I would like to give them one solid piece of advice. Never, ever cross somebody who knows how to do stuff at a level in which they've put their lives, their sacrifice, and their efforts to just completely 100% dedicated to be better. Never. What you need to relax on is that life and the world as it is today is all yours. The fun, the drugs, I don't know if you do them, no, don't, but if you do, the success, the power, the people, it's all yours. If you dare venture in the lion's den just because you want to feel happy on beating the guy on a skill level, I urge you to not do it because you will get destroyed. And your ego will give you so much pain that all of the people you know will never set you to sleep again. You will look at yourself in the mirror and you will say, doesn't matter how much I know people, I don't know how to do stuff. So my recommendation is, if you're somebody who's just into dinners with the right people at the right place, relax. I will never steal your thunder because those dinners I'm not invited to, you know? So you're safe. You're absolutely safe. And you're safe for everybody and all the people like me. But I know in this pattern there's people like me. If these dinner people, you know, which is, there's nothing wrong with dinners, by the way, you know, but there's just the dinner people are a different story, right? And you really want to get that trophy animal, I guarantee you don't try. Because you have in front of you somebody who spent their lives becoming better at piano, synthesizers, composing. Don't go there. You have everything, cars, power stuff. Just don't go there. Why do you want to go there? If your ego wants to beat them on that level, just don't do it. Don't do it. You cannot do it. You were having dinners, they were studying. You were having a talk on TV while millions of people were watching you, they were studying. You've never studied. You just don't know where to begin, you know? So I'm not talking to the people here that watch me on Patreon, because the people who stayed with me, you know, all the people that are here that watch me now and in the future, you would never pay me to be somebody else so I'm comfortable for you. There has to be some empathy. That's how I know I'm talking to people who feel the same way. Because give me money, just like make it so official to give me money for something that you actually would like to completely destroy. You're sick, you know, don't do it. Most of the just enjoy your dinners, right? So the people who are watching these and listen to these, so you know that they're. I didn't read Mars. My father was a hunter. My grandparents as well. I could do it, but it wasn't really my thing. My father and I bonded over building stuff like models, mechanics before he died at an early age. Sorry to hear. I unfortunately have my wife who's gone through an early passing of her dad, and I know exactly, I mean, from her being so close to me, how much the missing window is. But there's, I can tell you one thing. There's people who are with us for a very long time and give us really nothing. And there's a fantastic thing that you had, even in the short amount of time, a shorter amount of time that your father was with you, what you recall that you bonded over and things that you did, I guarantee you that's the value you should focus on. Unfortunately, you didn't have the quantity, but you did have the quality, and I guarantee you it is far more important. So I know you know it, but it's like you're blessed because you had that thing. There's people that are around us for hundreds of years and they're just water under the bridge. So it's much better, although I know it's very sad and it just leaves that thing in between that is just, but that's how it is. Value in quality and not quantity. So, yeah. So, I mean, how long has it been? Oh, 2 hours 38. All right, that's solid. But I told you this was huge because we were talking recording studios. Have I ever talked about these like in depth like this? Maybe no, right? So this is kind of a cool video. We got Showdown Station that's been running around, and I'm really hungry. I gotta be honest with you. I had kind of a late lunch, like some baguette with tomatoes and olive oil, and that's pretty much it. And now I'm craving some junk food though. I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm probably gonna go get some chips or something. I mean, not junk food in terms of fast food, but like some appetizer kind of thing. I don't know. We'll see. Well, okay. So with these, I think we talked about everything. This is never the end. Remember that. Oh, I hope it isn't. This is just the beginning of a lot of things I've said that we're gonna keep pushing. So remember, there's the synth master classes. We're doing mixing electronic pop on Patreon as well. There's the Korg mod wave, and as I said, the bass station. There's gonna be the wave state master class soon. And I mean, you know what that is? That's the Korg wave state. That's like how connected this thing is. I don't even know if you heard it. I think you heard it because I saw the faders going up. So that's probably the line in. So, I mean, that's it. We've been talking all this time. The wave state's right here next to me. So I don't even know if these wave state's going to go back to Korg. You know what? Let's not go there because Valeria doesn't know. She doesn't need to know. She already knows probably. She's watching me from the living room. Anyway, we didn't talk about new synthesizers and stuff. So the Korg Mod Wave Masterclass over 5 hours is already there on Patreon. You can watch it. There's the Bass Station 2. Novation's gonna do. They loved what I've done, and they're kind of advertising that. I couldn't be happier because I love Novation. All of the people there. Then there's gonna be sequential stuff. There's Atom Audio for the new master classes on, as I said, tuning the speakers to the room. I'm gonna do the unboxing. We're gonna talk about features of the speakers. I'm really, really looking forward to it. And I know a lot of you know the T series of Atom. I know a lot of you had or listened to the older kind of A series, but the newer A models and the S series, people, those things, they don't mess around. I'm telling you. I had an enlightenment experience right there, and I was like, why haven't I thought about that? So now work and life is colliding in a positive way. We're doing that. We talked about recording, mixing, mastering, production studios. Technically, why you might not want to do it, if you want to do it, how I believe you could do it. And then we talked about the human factor the most, how people are probably no longer on an average, instructed to kind of know how to behave in a music studio, how much you got to be a little bit of a psychologist to them, the human factor, the communication. We really covered a lot of stuff together. So again, I would really love for this to be kind of sparkling your new ideas and things like that. If you have questions that arise from these, let me know. I'm really happy that I did these publicly because I know on public YouTube I haven't been active that much because I've been super, super busy. Pure Mix has announced their campus as well. I'm working with them. What I'm doing, it's huge. It's huge on Pure Mix campus, and it's gonna be big. And if you're on Patreon, you're gonna be the first ones to know and get access to a lot of goodies. So we can't talk about that. We know what it is, but that's, we gotta be a little bit more secretive because it's kind of like fun. So really, really honored for me to be among one of my favorite audio engineers ever, ever. Some of the best, the records I love the most in these genres is like he made them, and to be able to do these at an educational level, blessed by him and Fab and the people at Pure Mix, is just an honor for me. So I'm super happy, and I know they've said some stuff, but not all of it, so I don't want to spoil it for you on some kind of live stream. For me, it looks like I want to take the cake. Absolutely no, they'll announce it what it is. So I know, but don't spoil it. Don't spoil it. I'll ban you in the chat if you say so. All right, so everybody, go to dinner, have fun, make love to your loved ones, remember to hug your pets, and then play synthesizers. Drift away when you can into the beautiful things that music has allowed us to do. You know I'm here if you have doubts, questions. To all the brands and people who are marketing, sales, A&R people, I cannot express my gratitude enough, and I want to do it here because I know maybe not now, but in some days somebody will watch it. It's such a pleasure. I love working with you. Thank you very much for giving your products to me, and you know that I can butcher them if I don't like them. So that's kudos to you, because it means you know what you have and you're solid, which I agree on. Otherwise, we won't be working together. Thank you very much. Have a great Wednesday evening. I'll say hi to Valeria. Maybe next time I'll have her here to say hi. Next Wednesday. If she's watching this, she's already super scared. And that's it. Take care. See you soon anyway. People, it was a pleasure as usual. I'm going to go reach the end of the stream. Thank you. Ciao.